Well, hello. Welcome once again to Stuff and Things, where I like to talk about stuff and occasionally even things. I'm your good friend Bradley, and today is a very pleasant Sunday Stuff and Things. And on this pleasant Sunday Stuff and Things, we have lots of things and stuff to talk about, including upcoming videos, and one of which is going to reveal at long last my favorite pipe of all time. We'll be getting into that, but things that you can look forward to on Stuff and Things Working and Stuff and Things Plays. I'm going to tell you about an amazing rock show that I saw in Seattle last weekend. And then we have your questions, comments, and feedback in hashtag askstuffandthings. So let's get into it. All right, so upcoming videos. What can you look forward to on Stuff and Things Working and Stuff and Things Plays? Well, this coming week, I'm going to have a video about these two Seattle Seahawks throwback jerseys. This one is the Mitchell and Ness Legacy jersey. This one is the Mitchell and Ness Authentic Throwback Steve Largent jersey. As you can see, these are both very high quality. They're both great. This one is the most authentic throwback jersey you can get. This one is a little less authentic, but maybe more practical for everyday wear. So I'm going to do a video comparing these two, which one you may want to choose depending on what you're looking for. After that, we're going to have a video about my very favorite pipe of all time. I am in the crazily privileged position of having access to a lot of amazing pipes. Some I purchased myself, some were gifted to me by really generous viewers. I have Dunhills, I have Costellos, I have an Ashton, I have, Savinellis, Petersons, artisanal pipes, all sorts of crazy pipes. I have a pipe starting lineup, and those are the ones that I rotate through on a weekly basis. And those are probably, I'd say the best of the best, but some of it's just kind of what I'm in the mood for. They change every once in a while, but there are some that are always in that starting lineup. But I was thinking the other day, can I pick a favorite? Of all my children, which one do I like the best? And I made the choice, and I've made a little video essay on that, and that will be posting not this coming week, but the week after. On Working, there is a humdinger of an episode coming up this Monday. It is what happens when things go wrong on a construction site. If you haven't watched Working yet, and you really should, we're close to 1,000 subs, and we need 1,000 subs on Working, so please check it out. But if you haven't watched Working yet, this coming week is the week to do it. Because this episode pretty much became a perfect storm of everything going wrong during a pour. And you can see how we react to that, how we deal with that, and how we get through that. It was a very long day, kind of a crappy day, but I think it makes a really compelling and interesting episode. So that will be posting Monday on Working. Oh, and by the way, if you are a Patreon supporter, you can get the Stuff and Things episodes several days early and ad-free. If you're a Patreon supporter, the Stuff and Things episodes post on Monday at 9 a.m. Pacific, as opposed to Wednesday at noon on the YouTube channel. So bear that in mind. And then we have Tears of the Kingdom every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on Stuff and Things Plays. I am also working on my review of the NYX Handmade Boots Urban Loggers boots. They are absolutely amazing. They were gifted to me by Ben from stitchdown.com. I've had them for a while now, and I've been wearing them a lot. And I'm finally ready to do that review. So that will probably be not this week, not the next week, but the week after. So we have Mitchell and Ness Authentic and Legacy Throwback Jerseys comparison. We have my very favorite pipe of all time the week after. And then we have the NYX Handmade Boots Urban Loggers review. So much stuff. And that's not even counting the things that I haven't told you about. So be sure to check all that out. So last weekend, did something that I wouldn't normally do. I'm an old man now. I'm 45 years old. I used to go to see shows all the time. Music, rock shows. I was in bands. I would go out and see bands. Bellingham, where I live, used to be really vibrant as far as live music. It kind of has tailed off a little bit, but it's a college town, and in the past, when I was in my 20s, there were probably a dozen bars, well, maybe not quite a dozen, but at least 8 or 9 bars in the downtown area that would have live music on, every weekend, sometimes during the week. I would go see bands, go see friends' bands. It was really fun. I really enjoyed that. I kind of miss that, but since I am of advancing age, I don't really feel like going out, starting a show that starts at 10 o'clock at night and then being out until 1:30 or something, or 2 in the morning. I don't do that very often anymore. Occasionally there will be a band that I want to go see. But there is a Japanese band called Mass of the Fermenting Dregs. It's a weird name, I know, but it's a fantastic band, and I think I first heard about them, God, I don't know, maybe almost a dozen years ago, maybe 2010-ish, 2011-ish, and I really, really loved them, and I followed them for a while, but then they kind of dropped off the map. One of their members had a panic-induced medical emergency, so she quit the band, and then they were sort of on hiatus for a while, but they resurfaced in 2015, and they've been making albums again. They just released a new album last year, but basically, they're hard to describe. They are maybe shoegazy kind of sound, post-hardcore. It's sort of hard to say. When they started out, they were more instrumental, kind of hard rock, hardcore-ish sound, but also kind of shoegazy with a lot of effects and stuff. They're fronted by a woman named Natsuko. What is her last name? I think I wrote it down somewhere. Natsuko Miyamoto. I think she's close to 40 now, but obviously when they first started out, she was in her 20s. And she is the bass player and the vocalist. She's absolutely fantastic, has amazing stage presence. Anyway, I've been following them for a long time, and months ago, I found out that they were actually touring in the US, which they have never done before. I think they've been to Canada, but they had never been to the US. And so I was really excited. I wanted to see where they were going to be showing up. Luckily, they were coming to Seattle, and they were playing at a very small venue called The Substation in Ballard in Seattle. So it's a venue that only fits, I don't know, maybe 150, 200 people. So I thought it would be a fantastic opportunity to see them. I've watched live videos of their performances on YouTube, and it just always looks fantastic. And so last Saturday, Diamond and I drove all the way down to Seattle. My older brother was going to be there too, because he was excited to see them. And we went to Ballard, we parked our car, and we went to see the Mass of the Fermenting Dregs, or what is it in Japanese? It's Masu Obu za Fermentingu Dregusa. I'm wearing the band t-shirt right now. Hey, there it is. I like them so much, I got the t-shirt. And the show was just absolutely fantastic. I will insert some clips from their performance. Well, now, if that doesn't get you going, I don't know what will. They're amazing live. They're amazing just to listen to. There's a lot of stuff. There's some music that I would consider kind of atmospheric or context-based. Like there's some dance music that I would never want to listen to just when I'm in my car driving around, but I don't mind it if I'm in a club or something like that. Not that I go to a lot of clubs, but you get my meaning. It's always weird for me when I hear someone driving by bumping like super loud EDM music. Like, why would you want to listen to that if you're not actually dancing in a club? But this band is one that is fantastic live and also fantastic recorded. Their albums are really great. I think their first EP was self-titled from 2008, and they've had several albums since then. Like I said, their last album came out last year in 2022. You can find most of their stuff on iTunes, but they are Mass of the Fermenting Dregs, also known as Masu Dore, is like their little nickname, fronted by Natsuko Miyamoto. They've been around since I think they formed in like 2002 or 4, but their first EP was 2008, and you should check them out. Mass of the Fermenting Dregs. Look up live music on YouTube or live videos on YouTube. Look at their stuff on iTunes. I can't recommend them highly enough. Oh, at one point, Diamond kept telling me, you should yell something in Japanese to them when they're on stage. And so I was like, I don't want to be a douche like that and yell something out. But a lot of people are like, yeah, and they don't really speak English very well at all. She had this message that she had figured out before on Google Translate that she read out, where she was saying how honored they were to be performing in Seattle, the home of so much good music in the past, and Nirvana and all these things. And they're just delightful, wonderful people. But at one point in between songs, I yelled out, "Utsukushi!" which means beautiful, because I was trying to think of like, what should I say that would get their attention and that wouldn't be like everyone was yelling out like arigato and domo and stuff, because that's something that everyone knows, but most people who don't speak Japanese wouldn't know utsukushi. And so I yelled that out, and she did go like, oh, what? Oh, thank you. So that was fun. But yeah, fantastic show. Check out Mass of the Fermenting Dregs, or Masu Oba. Let me say this again, I always forget. Masu Oba za Fermentingu Doregusa. They're great. All right, gang, and now it is time for hashtag Ask Stuff and Things. Remember, if you have a question for me and you would like it answered on the Sunday Stuff and Things, tweet at SAT Bradley with the hashtag AskStuffandThings. If you are a Patreon supporter, you can write to me via Patreon and go right to the front of the line. If you hit that super thanks button under this video, you can go right to the front of the line, or you can leave questions, comments, and feedback in the comment section of my YouTube videos. We have some feedback from last week's Sunday Stuff and Things. This first one is from @Shakana, also known as our good friend Scott M. This is a super thanks. Thank you so much, Scott M. Scott M says, I have not yet delved into ropes. I was talking about the giant log, the curly block that I did a video on last week. I suppose my hardest to prepare was a blend you recently reviewed, Salty Dog. I may sound like a whiner, but it has made me shy away from purchasing further plugs. I'll stick to my flakes, thank you very much. Yeah, I don't remember Salty Dog being particularly difficult, but yeah, plugs take a little more preparation. So a lot of people had blends that they were putting forward as some of the hardest to prepare, because that's what we were talking about last week. And MDoftheNorth says, love the curly block, but I have to agree with you. Hands down, the most difficult blend to prepare. Pretty darn tasty though, so it's worth it most of the time. And I agree, it's a good blend. @Jim Green F, great video as usual, Bradley. I bought a cheap coffee grinder, which I use solely for preparing my tea. And that's an interesting idea. Several people mentioned this. I pulse to desired consistency. Very helpful for flakes, but I use it for all of my blends, especially when I'm using a small bowl. I wonder though, and maybe you've got this all figured out and you have a perfect system, but it seems to me like it would get it too fine, and it would be difficult to get the proper burn going. It's interesting though. @Tom Brown 1898 says, Bradley, drugstore blends were a dream to pack and load. They were mostly cube or crimp cut, or mostly cube, Mostly cube or crimp cut white burley, and required only dipping the bowl into a foil pouch and packing it with your thumb. G&H flakes are as tedious as I'm willing to endure when the spirit moves me. It's always interesting to hear about the old days of drugstore blends because that stands to reason. For people who it was less of a kind of pretentious hobby as it is for us and more of just a daily habit, you know, you don't want something that's going to be really difficult to prepare. You want something that you can just like shove in your pipe and tamp it down with your thumb and go for it. And that stands to reason that drugstore blends would have been like that. And then finally we have at Dukshi, my vote for the hardest to prepare goes to Motzek Strang, a blend I've never heard of. The successor, I haven't tried the original, or the successor, I haven't tried the original. And what a coincidence, it looks like the Wessex CB has about the same moisture level as the Snowball you mentioned. Interesting, Motzek Strang, I'm gonna have to look into that. Then I did the video, the blend spotlight on Peter Heinrich's Curly Block, and we have some responses from that. At Pablo Non-Picasso, 1977 says, to cut that monster, a bread knife with serrations like you mentioned is what I would use. Failing that, a hydraulic guillotine. Interesting spotlight. Now to check out your working channel. Yes, definitely check out the working channel. Like I said, there's gonna be an amazing episode this Monday. Next, from at Valou. Bradley, how about using a small handsaw to slice this log? Seriously, maybe something like a coping saw or a miter saw. Just a thought. And yeah, when I saw your comment, I was thinking about that because I do have some very fine-bladed miter saws that could probably do that. What I'm worried about is just ripping all the leaf as I try to go through it with something serrated. But yeah, maybe something very fine-toothed. And then we have at Corbin Bourbon 1194. I think you gotta bite off a piece like a sailor. I would love to see the person who could bite through that log. I mean, I might be able to get a chunk off if I tried. I know you're just joking, but my God, that is some dense stuff. We have at Les Brady, glad you enjoyed it after all that work. Sometimes a pipe block is just a big old phallic symbol. Yeah, a lot of that going around in the comment section. And then at Midwest Pipe Smoker 4024, if you are a vapor fan, Curly Block is fantastic. I end up cutting the log into coins and storing them in a mason jar afterwards. It's one of my all-time favorite blends. It has some similarities with Rainier Gold, but it's a little less sweet. And that's what I ended up doing. I actually sliced off quite a few coins and I have them in a jar and I will be enjoying that in the near future. Thank you, gang, for all that feedback. Please keep it coming in. I love to hear from you. It's great to interact with you. But now, it is time for the very best part of the show, and that is where we thank our Patreon supporters. Remember, if you would like to support the channels on Patreon, there is a link in the description box below, and it is much appreciated, gang. It helps me afford blends for review, other products that I can bring in and show you on the channel. It helps pay for the fancy camera that is filming this now, the lights that are shining upon me, saving up for a new editing workstation, and all of that is due to you, to your generosity. We're trying to get to $105 patrons on Patreon, and it's so much appreciated. Every week we shout out those who support the channels at $25 or more a month. People like Glenn Dunnington, Jason Buckner, MDoftheNorth, David Gaudreau, Ryan McFadin, Arcturus, Ashes of the Phoenix, and Jonathon Proctor. And of course, the Maniacs, the crazy people who support the channels at $100 a month, people like Bob Magee. And we'll never forget our dearly departed friend and Hall of Fame member, Peter Straub. Gang, there is so much to look forward to on Stuff and Things Working and Stuff and Things Plays. Please stay tuned for the Mitchell and Ness NFL Throwback jersey comparison between the authentic line and the legacy line. Then stay tuned for my very favorite pipe, revealed at long last, the Nick's Urban Lager full review coming up on Working this Monday, what happens when everything goes wrong, and then every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on Stuff and Things Plays, the Tears of the Kingdom series continues. There you go, gang. Lots to look forward to. Until next time, until we meet again, I'm your good friend Bradley. You've been the audience. This has been Stuff and Things on a very pleasant Sunday Stuff and Things. I'll see you later. Listen to Mass of the Fermenting Dregs. They're fantastic.